次来中国的老外，没想到商场这么可爱。
Delighted to have you, amazing viewer at Comfort for Life. Thanks for having you once more, supporting my content. It's an exciting time that you're having right here. It's been an exciting journey, and in today's compilation we are going to compare these two cultures, Americans and Chinese. There has been a lot of learning from both of them. From the time that Americans joined the Chinese app Xiaohongshu, there has been a lot of cultural exchange. So we are going to be learning from each other. We are going to explore those cultural differences through this compilation that I am sharing right here. Enjoy the rest of the video. Like the video for recommendation. Keep in mind that there is no right or wrong culture. We are here to explore and learn and enjoy the beauty of cultures. We are here to enjoy the differences. Let's see this in a good light. Thank you. Appreciate you.
So we all know that China and the US are very different in many ways. So today, let's dive into a few fun and fascinating differences between our two cultures. Remember, this is all in good fun, so don't take it too seriously. If you've got thoughts or other ideas to share, drop them in the comments. If you like my video, please follow me. Now let's chat. Number 1, public drinking. In the US, sipping on a beer in public? Nope. We all know that it's illegal in most states, but in China, it's totally fine. Whether you're strolling down the street or chilling in the park, no one is going to stop you from enjoying a drink. The fun fact is that it's not public drinking in China, it's just a drinking. Number 2, post-baby recovery. Now this one blows my mind. In the US, new moms might celebrate with a bowl of ice cream right after giving birth. Some hospitals even serve it. Meanwhile, in China, we've got something called 坐月子, or sitting the month. What does that mean? It's a full month dedicated to recovery, with a lot of rules. No going outside, no cold drinks, no wearing short sleeves or pants, even if it's hot. We believe it's all about staying warm and healthy because your body needs to recover. Number 3, tipping culture. Americans tip everyone. Waiters, bartenders, drivers, and even delivery folks. It's basically an unwritten rule, right? But in China, tipping isn't a thing, like at all. The price you see is the price you pay. It's kind of nice, actually. No extra math at the end of dinner, and that saved 15 to 20%. And you can spend it on dessert instead if you want. Number 4, eating styles. In the US, it's all about individual plates. Everyone gets their own food and sticks to it. In China, sharing is caring. We put dishes in the middle and everyone dips in. It's like a team sport, but tastier. And a pro tip, always move fast if you want the best bite. There's always someone eyeing that last dumpling. Number 5, job interviews. Here's a big difference. In the US, asking someone their age or marital status in a job interview, that's a lawsuit waiting to happen, but in China, it's pretty common. Employers might ask how old you are, whether you are married, or even if you have kids. Sure, it's awkward, but it's just how things work in China. No one sues. People are all just used to it. Different countries, different rules.
Pregnancy in China is a bit different than pregnancy in the States. Here are some customs that differ in China versus the US. Number 1, no contact lenses. It was suggested by a doctor that I not wear contact lenses while pregnant. Chinese medicine understands pregnancy to be a stressful experience for the body, so it tries to eliminate all other potential stressors, such as wearing contacts. Number 2, pets. Pets are seen as dirty and a carrier for disease. So when you get pregnant, a lot of strict traditionalists will get rid of their cats and dogs for the sake of their baby's health. Number 3, cold. Per traditional Chinese medicine custom, the cold harbors illness, so naturally when you're pregnant, it's best practice to avoid anything cold at all costs. That means no cold water, ice cream, and protecting yourself from the AC in the summer.
你知道吗? 666 in English is evil. I'm B-Rose in China, and here's why. In the West, 3 6s are the number of the beast. It represents the Antichrist or Satan. It comes from the Bible. You can see it featured in horror movies, avoided on license plates, avoided in phone numbers, altogether just avoided. It's a bad omen. In the horror movie, The Omen, the little boy is born on 6/6 at 6 in the morning. I'm from the south of the United States. That means it's very religious there. And I remember June 6th, 2006 was a huge deal. Religious women who were pregnant and who had due dates on June 6, 2006 either induced themselves early or scheduled C-sections just to avoid having babies born on this day. Just to give you guys an idea of how religious the South is in the United States, when I was little and reading Harry Potter, my very religious grandmother did not want me to read it because she said it was the book of the devil. But in China, if you were born on 666, that would be super lucky, aka 66大顺. It generally means wealth, good luck, or good vibes. It's used for wedding dates, it's used in phone numbers, it's used on license plates, it's given in hong baos, anything that you can customize with numbers, people are going to use 666. You can imagine my shock back when I used to live in the States and I taught with VIP Kid one-on-one classes to cute Chinese children. A little girl before class was writing 6666666 all over her screen. I was there like, oh my gosh, this little girl is writing the number of the devil. But actually, she's just sending good vibes my way. Now that I have been living in China for 6 years, I love using 666. It's awesome. How do you feel about the number 6? Follow me on here for more about Chinese culture and my life in China. Bye!
Differences between Chinese and American business culture you should know. First, American businesses champion direct communication, while Chinese businesses love to have a lot of indirect communication. Chinese business people love to use a lot of metaphors, allegories when they communicate, and sometimes you may wonder, what are they actually talking about? Second, American workplace respects personal time off work. But in China, the boundary between work time and personal time is very ambiguous. Third, anxiety over age. Chinese companies like to hire fresh, new, young employees all the time. Lastly, Americans like put everything in writing and contracts and love to hire lawyers. But Chinese business professionals bank on personal trust with their business partners. This leads to a more lax attitude about contracts in China.
That's the top thing I've learned working with Chinese people over the past 6 years. You have to just do it. In the US, we're so used to taking a project and being like, okay, let's build it out. Let's have this ready by next year. Whereas in China, it's like, okay, we have this big project. We're going to launch it by next week. Who's ready? And I think there's something to be said about waiting and wanting to plan it out. But it's a lot easier to iterate when you already have a rough draft or something going. And I think even on a macro scale in China, I would be there and overnight the whole neighborhood would change, or there would be a new city that pops up, or there would be a new hospital that was built. As a country, I think they're just a lot quicker with being like, it doesn't have to be great, it's just got to be functional. And in the US, I'm always thinking about the bill that's trying to climb Capitol Hill, that song, and it keeps falling down because there's always so many stakeholders and everybody wants to have an opinion, and let's think about this when we have our big meeting. So yeah, I've learned, just get something out there, just do it.
So the thing that thrilled me and confused me the most about coming to America at first was how complimentary people are here. Like, when I first came, everything was either like, great job, or perfect, or you're doing amazing. And I grew up in China where like the normal reaction is 行吧,就这样吧, or the most you get was like 不错. But like just now, I was sitting in my dentist chair and he was like, okay, now I want you to open your mouth for me. Fantastic, you're doing a great job. And I was sitting in that chair with my mouth open thinking like, damn, I am killing it in America.
The Chinese work ethic is unbelievable. I was running late to like a meeting. It was like 5 o'clock. I'm like, oh, are you guys going to be closed? And they're like, no, man, like we're working until 10 o'clock at night, 6 days a week. Employees don't even want to work for us unless we can offer them these hours and overtime. It's a vast contrast compared to the United States where it's like, 9 to 5, as soon as Friday hits, you check out and you leave. It's even worse in Latin America, like even big stores like home and goods, like nothing's open on the weekend. It's like the whole economy shuts down. You can argue, quality of life in Latin America, hey, it's more relaxed, chill vibe. Here it is work, work, work. You are dedicated, to your job, to your business. It's, a 7-day-a-week venture. And, you see this work ethic and you understand why, this, Shenzhen, where I'm at right now, just came from, nothing to just massive. In a short period of time, Hong Kong was, the big skyline over here, and now Shenzhen towers over Hong Kong. When you're driving them out, commercial vehicles, construction, business, manufacturing, and this city just goes in every direction you look. It's never ending. I've never, been in a city this big. Like, it just dwarfs anything I've ever seen in the United States. And I think a lot of, Americans don't understand the economic miracle that, has happened in China and how they are progressing technologically and manufacturing. And, now that they've been doing manufacturing for this many years, they're actually getting into the innovation. They're not doing cheap knockoffs anymore. It's all high-end stuff. Shenzhen's, high-end electronics. This is a very impressive city. I've also never felt, unsafe here. I felt very safe walking around. People are very friendly. Not a lot of foreigners here. I was in, some meetings in, some neighborhoods, and people were giving me like, where did this guy come from? But it's been a great experience here. And, I went and checked out some Bitcoin miner wholesalers, ATM manufacturers. The hosting here is incredible. Chinese are just great, business people. So if you're interested, Bitcoin miners, follow me, the Bitcoin Capitalist, and check out my link in the profile.
Hello, it's me, Mark. When we talk about family life, China people like to live together as a family, while the United States likes to let children be dependent early. When I was chatting with an American friend just now, the American friend expressed this. He said that Americans regard living with children as shameful, but China doesn't think so. We will support the old man. We think it is not good to live along with the old people. So, what's your opinion?
Let's talk about the differences in family values between China and the US. In China, filial piety is a deeply rooted tradition, and respecting elders is considered the most basic moral standard. Many families live in multi-generational households with children and grandparents under one roof, enjoying the happiness of family life. Sending elderly parents to a nursing home is often seen as unfilial, and children may worry about being criticized by others. This also sends an important message. The next generation observes how their parents treat their elders, learning from it, and pass it on. In China, strong family bonds provide more emotional support for the elderly, but can create pressure on the younger generation. In the US, independence brings more personal freedom, but may lead to loneliness among seniors. What do you think? Which approach fits your values? Share your thoughts in the comments.
In your opinion, what is the most significant difference between American colleges and Chinese colleges? Well, this is all my experience, but socializing in American colleges often felt less satisfying than Chinese colleges. The connections you can make in American colleges just feel so superficial. It feels like everyone is divided in rigid compartments, and that college is more cliquey than Chinese school. Many people are just there to get their degrees, and they just drive back home as soon as the class is done. But on the other hand, most of the students live on the campus. In Chinese colleges, it is easier to organize collective activities such as festivals, competitions, or events. That's interesting. You're not the only person who says American college is more cliquey than Chinese college. 这个对话说了美国大学和中国大学的不同。American colleges are more cliquey than Chinese colleges. 美国大学的学生上完课就回家，不太参与集体的活动，而中国大学这种集体活动的机会是比较多的，所以中国大学比较容易交到好的朋友，而美国大学则相反。cliquey 这个词你学会了吗？
Firstly, we don't chat or talk casually with strangers. When we meet friends, we say, hello, have you eaten? In China, 你吃了吗 means, how are you? But in America, hi Elise, how are you today? Oh, I like your shoes. Seriously doubt that I like your shoes is a fixed equation in the American social language. How are you must be followed by I like your shoes or your other things. I'm so sorry for my absence tomorrow because I got severely sick today and I have to see my doctor. Sorry again for the inconvenience I brought. To sum up, our formula is apology plus convincing details to prove the absent reason is reasonable. American be like, I will not be here tomorrow. American people are obviously direct when asking for a leave, and they don't like sharing personal reasons with others.
So I did my college back in China, and then I got my master's in the US. And just based on my personal experience, I think US definitely has a better college education than China for sure.
The thing with Chinese universities is that they're really hard to get into due to the competition, since there are more than 10 million students participate in the college entrance exam every year to get into the top 50 schools. But it's actually really easy to graduate from because the standard for graduation is pretty low. American universities are actually quite the opposite, in my opinion. I know the general education in the US isn't so great, but the Chinese schools are mentally draining. I have many friends that told me they experienced some level of depression and anxiety just from the huge pressure coming from the school and the parents to do well in the exam. The only issue I have with the American universities is that they're way too expensive, especially for the good ones.
China-US differences, number 10. The food served in American public schools is just reheated processed garbage in plastic packaging. No one at the school cooks the food. It's planned out and purchased months in advance according to the food pyramid. Oh wait, no, they got rid of that. Now it's the My Plate, equally owned by corporations. On Monday, our entree is heart nuggets, followed by the vegetable of tater tots. Don't forget the healthy, important grains, holiday sugar cookie, plus fat-free milk. We're still this out of date? In Chinese public schools, anything less than freshly prepared, complete meals is intolerable to parents. In a country where protesting can get you arrested, parents will still risk it over their kids' food quality. Meanwhile, when I was a kid, my lunch was cheesy bites, beef taco stick, cheese pizza pack.
Well, studying and working with my American friends, I've noticed some culture differences between China and the United States. There are 3 culture distinctions that I find particularly interesting. The first one must be birthday gift. The Chinese people in general do not open birthday gifts before their friends, since it will be considered both rude and greedy. But when I go to my American friends' birthday parties, they always unwrap the gifts in front of everyone and make very sincere compliments. The first time my gift was unwrapped in public, I felt a little bit, uneasy and embarrassing. But then at the same time, I feel like, wow, at least I know my friend likes my gift. Or probably he was just trying to be polite. I don't know. Anyway, it's very interesting and it must be a culture shock for me back then. Secondly, from my personal experience, I think Chinese are humbler, while Americans are more confident. As a linguist, I often encounter American friends who claim to be able to speak Mandarin when in reality they only know a few words or sentences, but they're still confident in communicating with you in your language, which I think is very brave and nice. I also know many Chinese who speak English fluently, but when the Americans say something like, wow, your English is good, the Chinese often react with the same thing, like, no, my English is not good enough, I still need some improvement, but thank you. And then the Americans may be confused as to why the Chinese refuse to accept their sincere compliments. Well, for us Chinese people, we believe that agreeing with the compliment is not okay because that means we're not being modest. And there are a lot of people who are better than you out there, so you have to be humble. This is also a culture difference. And thirdly, how friends split the bills. When I go out with my friends from the United States, we often go Dutch without any argument. But if you hang out with your Chinese friends, we will always literally fight for paying the bill. I don't really know why. I guess it's just a Chinese instinct. Like, personally, I would also fight for paying the bill. I don't know why, like I said, even if I don't want to, but it's my Chinese instinct. But usually my friends will pay next time we hang out. So I think probably this is a new way of going Dutch. Yes, we're not fighting. We're fighting for paying the bill and showing you friendship. So in general, I think, there are so many cultural differences that we should better understand, so that we can avoid misunderstanding. And I think it's very important to learn one another's cultures and customs in international communication.
So in China, I know there are many different dialects such as Mandarin or Cantonese, and I've heard that they are very hard to distinguish from each other. They're almost like different languages. Now in America, we also have dialects in English, but they aren't as vastly different where we can't understand each other. It's more just how we pronounce words and if we use some words more than others, if that makes sense. I'm going to give you some examples. This is probably one of the most well-known ones, but in America, there are 3 different ways to call carbonated drinks. We have soda, pop, and cola or Coke. For me, I live in Missouri and I say soda. Some people say pop. I hardly ever hear anyone refer to soda as cola because that for me is a brand. And then we have some words like pecan or pecan, which are just different ways to pronounce words. There's not a right or wrong way to pronounce it. Then we have some weird ones like the word wash. Some people will pronounce wash, even though there's not an R in there. That's just kind of how it sounds. And just for the hell of it, I thought I would show you my best country accent. This is how I think that people in the deep South talk. Even though I'm from Missouri, I am not a country girl. I grew up in the city with city folks. Check out my channel if you want more videos about English tips and slang and just American life in general. Bye, bestie!
Hey guys, today let's talk about the difference between Chinese province and American state and why they came to be. First off, let's talk about power. In the US, states have a significant amount of autonomy. They can make their own laws in many areas like education, gun control, and even some business regulations. It's like each state is a mini country in some ways, with its own set of rules. But in China, where provinces do have certain administrative powers to manage local affairs efficiently, the overall national policies and major decisions are coordinated by the central government. This ensures national unity and balanced development across the whole country. Now, the relationship between provincial governments and the nation. Chinese provinces are integral parts of a unified country. The central government plays a leading role in resource allocation, infrastructure building, and strategic planning. Provinces work hand in hand with the central government to implement national projects. For example, high-speed railways connect all provinces, making travel and trading easier, and it's all under the national blueprint. In the US, states often negotiate with the federal government for resources and funding. Sometimes there can be tensions if interests don't align. When it comes to relationship between provinces, in China, there is a strong spirit of cooperation. Provinces support each other, especially during disasters or when one region needs a particular resource. Like when one province has a shortage of medical supplies, others rush to help. It's all about the bigger picture of the national well-being. In the US, states can be quite competitive, especially in attracting business and talent. They may offer different tax incentives and perks to get an edge, which can sometimes lead to an unequal distribution of opportunities. Why are these differences? Well, history plays a huge part. China has a long history of a centralized system that dates back thousands of years. This tradition has evolved, and now it focuses on national development while respecting local characteristics. The US, on the other hand, was formed by colonies coming together. The states initially wanted to preserve their own identities and powers, and this legacy still shapes the way the country is run today. In short, both systems have their own charm and functions. Understanding these differences helps us appreciate the unique pace our countries have taken. If you have any questions or thoughts, leave them in the comments, and I'll see.
Number 6. Skin color. Americans love getting tanned. You'll see people sunbathing at the beach or lounging by pools, chasing that golden glow. In the US, a tan is often seen as a sign of health and vitality, but in China, it's the total opposite. Chinese people, especially women, are obsessed with having fair skin. The whiter, the more beautiful is a common belief here. That's why skincare products with whitening effects are always top sellers. Sunscreen, it's not just a protection here, it's practically a religion. Number 7. festivals. Many Americans or Western festivals like Christmas, Easter, and Hanukkah have deep religious roots, often tied to Jesus Christ or other significant spiritual events. In China, our festivals are more about culture, history, or agriculture. For example, the Spring Festival is about family reunions and celebrating the arrival of spring, a key time for planting crops. The Dragon Boat Festival honors the great poet Xu Yuan, who lived about 2,300 years ago and sacrificed himself for his country. And Mid-Autumn Festival? That's a celebration of the full moon and family gatherings, marked by delicious moon cakes. Number 8. Drinking habits. Americans love their cold drinks. Iced water, soda with iced coffee, it's a year-round thing, no matter the weather. And plain water, that's rare, I know. It usually has a twist of lemon or some flavor added. In China, we're all about hot water. Hot, plain, nothing added. We believe cold drinks can harm your body, while hot water is the ultimate health boost, especially when you're feeling under the weather. If you've ever seen a Chinese person carrying a thermos of hot water, now you know why. Number 9. Spending habits. In the US, credit cards are king. Americans embrace buy now, pay later, with over 80% of adults owning at least one credit card. It's great for the economy, but it means many people don't save that much. In fact, a surprising number of families have less than $500 in savings. Meanwhile, in China, we are savers. Credit card penetration is relatively low, even in big cities, and many people prefer to live within their means. In 2024, during tough global economic times, household savings in China actually increased. There's an old Chinese saying, 手有余粮，心不慌, which means you don't panic when you have enough grain in hand. It's just like a national motto. Number 10. Payment methods. In the States, cash and credit cards are still common, though mobile payments like Apple Pay and Google Pay are catching on. But in small towns or rural areas, cash can still be a necessity. In China, though, mobile payments are everywhere. We use WeChat Pay or Alipay for literally everything. From restaurants to farmers markets, even subway stations, you can just use your phone to scan and go. And nowadays, you can even pay by scanning your face. Honestly, I can't even remember the last time I used cash. It's just so convenient. It feels like living in the future.
Ni hao. Hello to my Chinese friends. I'm having a great day today. I am in the USA and I want to talk about some similarities and differences in Chinese and American culture. I think the US is such a new nation. It only began a couple hundred years ago, while China, I love Chinese people, is big. It's 4,000 years old and has so much culture, and the Chinese have learned to live together. By the way, I'm on a walk right now. Walking. And so I think that those are some similarities and differences in the two cultures. What do you guys think?
Hi, we are your Chinese friend, Chinese couple. The movie Ne Zha Tu can actually show you why Chinese people does not have racial discriminations.
In many of the movies we were seeing, it was really easy to tell good guys from bad guys. Just take a look at their faces.
The good guys usually looks good looking, and the bad guy usually looks ugly with strained faces.
Their clothes can also tip you off.
But in Chinese movies, it's not that cut and dry. Sometimes you really can immediately tell who's good and who's bad.
Whether a character is good or bad isn't about how they look. It's about the choices they made and what they think deep down.
We all believe that what truly decides a person is good or bad isn't their appearance, but their personality.
It's always the personalities that's worth respecting and loving.
So when you watch Ne Zha Tu, keep in mind the ending will definitely blow you away.
And the thinking behind all this is summed up in an old Chinese saying.
人不可貌相，
I say 不可。
Let's go to the club in China. Shit different over here. Alright, so boom. My homie said let's go out tonight, so let's go see how it is clubbing in China. The first thing I noticed is everyone brings their own liquor. And this one caught me completely off guard when I heard this song. I ain't know China fucked with dancehall like that. The music was good all around. Another thing I noticed is they don't really dance here like that. Definitely was not twerking. Everyone really just stays at their table and you play these drinking games. Overall, clubbing in China was a super vibe. I definitely